Yahoy guys. Or, as we say in Egypt, Salam alaikum. This is More Oxygen Channel, it's Monday. And we're about to embark on another colorful adventure. And it's going to be a very exciting one for me. I am going underwater, but not as a diver, but as an observer of how a real open water diver will be made from another bubble maker. And in the role of experimental bubble maker will be. You probably already guessed it. Therefore, if my beloved mother-in-law sees this video, let her consider me a freediver. Ludmila, I want to hear only one word from you.
Yahoy?
Oh, you're a good girl.
Feel? Denial? Fear? Acceptance? It was all there. I almost changed my mind. At the beginning, even before the first one started, working out the first exercise. I already wanted to turn around and wrap up the whole operation, yes.
Do you remember the yellow books from the For Dummies series? Today, in this video, I will try to explain the process of obtaining the first diver's certificate in the most accessible, detailed and concise way. And, I promise, if after watching all 3 parts of this video you still have questions, I will answer them to everyone in the comments. Do you know what the worst thing about diving is for me? This is the need to get up very early, every day. Being obedient. Being a well-deserved owl. It comes to me, of course, with great difficulty. Let's start from easy things. You find an instructor. He picks you up in the morning at a convenient place and takes you to a cozy and friendly dive center in a comfortable car. Got it? Forget it. It's not that simple. Believe the ginger cat, whom else but a cat? If the food does not go into the bowl, the owners learn the basics. Whichever organization you apply to for your first certificate, with rare exceptions, you will have to study the textbook. Learn all the subtleties of theoretical material and pass the exam. And you really have to teach thoughtfully and with understanding.
Oops, let's do another video, please.
Okay, now the correct version, as other YouTube dive channels like to show. You are unique, you have read the whole textbook, comprehended everything without a single mistake. But the error could have been before the start of training. And who, in fact, is teaching us? Ginger, are you proud? Are you proud of our little diver? Clever cat. Do you know the best organization to get the first diving certificate? Better you know.
Will you dive with us?
I will shoot you from above.
He's my psychological support. I need it. It's all so scary to me.
In the meantime, let's find out which training organization is the best in the world. Let's talk right away. You must understand that all these organizations, federations and other offices are built on the desire to earn more evergreen American presidents, in the form of papers with their faces. Papers with the euro sign, if anything, will also please everyone. However, all of you are adults, and you should understand that free cheese is only in the propeller area of the dive boat. No one will come running to you and offer to get a certificate for free in order just to descend below sea level in your glorious company. Sorry, if I disappointed you. And, if you have realized the point about the need to part with hard-earned money, let's try to look at organizations from the point of customer focus, ease of learning and universality of the received certificates in the world. Suppose you tried diving and survived. Which is already good. Let's assume that you even liked it. And you want more. With such thoughts, you will come to the need of obtaining an international certificate. In order to at least jump off the leash of a tourist instructor. If you need a certificate, you need an organization that will issue it. The internet immediately finds you not one or two, but really a lot of variants. And just here you should not be afraid. In fact, there are only 3 to 4 organizations that are distinguished by their accessibility, wide coverage and ease of training. These are PADI, NDL, SSI and CMAS. A few words about the last of them. CMAS is the World Federation of Underwater Activities. Sounds proud. Even Jacques-Yves Cousteau popularized this committee. Remember this character? The bright red hat, sharp proud nose. Recent film, not bad by the way. Childhood at the TV watching the exploits of the Calypso team. Big name. What is there to add? Moreover, all other companies such as PADI, NDL and SSI are also included in this organization. But, based on the site, there are no textbooks there. That is, if you find CMAS representatives somewhere, they will teach you orally. And what will they teach? An open question. I hope they will at least give you a red hat. Now about NDL. Company from Russia. Head office in St. Petersburg. Young, cheap and angry. And indeed it is. If you want to look younger, save money and feel angry, welcome to the National Dive League.
Have you finished the textbook?
Yes, I finished yesterday. Passed the test.
In the evening?
Yes. Well, in a sense, I passed the general exam. There are 50 questions. Yes, I submitted it yesterday. Made 2 mistakes.
I have seen.
What?
I saw.
Never fool an instructor. He sees everything and knows everything.
Well, 1. There are 3 errors, but the third, I just accidentally touched the wrong answer. Well, when I reached for the send button, answer. I answered with the touchpad, it moved. My answer. When the mouse. Well, not the mouse, but the touchpad pulled.
In common, never lie. Our next company is SSI, Scuba Schools International. Working for it is a real pleasure. You cannot teach unless you are affiliated with an organization's dive center. If you do not work in it, you cannot teach and issue certificates. The attitude of the teacher to the young diver in such a situation raises questions. You have just paid. And he already considers how much of this amount should be given to the organization, how much to the dive center, and what will remain for him. Want to look into sad eyes through the glass of the instructor's mask? Go to SSI. Let's move on to PADI. In my opinion, these are the most greedy. Prices bite. Want to raise your level? Pay for a new textbook and a new certificate. During breaks, they will offer to join their club and pay additional money monthly. Do not want to communicate in the club? You can always go to the PADI store and buy a t-shirt for $80. It is paradoxically. But we have chosen PADI. Why? Having traveled around the world, I have not seen flags of other companies as often as flags with the PADI logo. They are well known everywhere. Their services are used by the largest number of divers around the world. Textbooks have been translated into most languages. The training is simple and understandable. It is possible to study online and to receive electronic certificates. Yes, it's expensive. But then the question arises, do we want to get a cheap certificate, or do we want to get a certificate and learn how to dive correctly? I think sometimes it's better to pay more but get exactly what you want. We have chosen an organization, we proceed to the choice of an instructor. This is where word of mouth will help. Or, of course, you can always ask us for advice in private messages or in comments under this video. The instructor for my wife was chosen unanimously. This is my first teacher, Ehab. Despite the reticence, this man very quickly wins the hearts of his students. He is kind, sweet, with a good sense of humor. Although a little unpunctual sometimes. But underwater you will feel like a beloved cub of such a large whale. Ehab has every possible PADI certificate. He knows every point of the Red Sea. Participates in underwater rescue operations. He is fond of technical diving and never minds spending time with his students in an informal setting. And this so-called swimming pool is his and my alma mater. Sand bottom. Convenient depths. Right next to the dive center. It remains to dress for the weather and go to the first practical lesson. Before much of the summer had passed, I finally got myself a summer diving kit, 3mm. In my 5mm full suit it's not even just hot. In fact you don't even feel yourself anymore, moreover, neither on the surface, nor underwater. Anywhere. After getting to know the teacher and a short conversation aimed at creating a trusting and calm relations, the practical part of your training can be considered started. From textbooks, you should already know what this or that diving equipment is. But to see everything live, to touch this beauty, The book will not share these impressions with you. The mentor will tell about the types of vests, and this is not superfluous, especially when he himself decided to use the integrated wing already in the first lesson. Show the correct attachment, assembly and preparation of equipment for use underwater. He will tell you what this or that spinning thing, lever, and this button serve for. He will acquaint you with folk and official methods for checking the correct connection of the tank and the equipment attached to it. Of course, you can come to the first lesson with your own set of watercraft, or rent them at the dive center. I would recommend using rental equipment first. Although it is not the most expensive and modern, it is the most versatile and easy to get acquainted with. Also, I advise you to listen to every word of the teacher, and not rely only on the material from the book. Having shown all the nuances of the operation of diving devices, and having answered all the questions, a competent instructor will immediately give you a chance to assemble your own kit yourself. And errors in this process can pop up from the most unexpected places. Everything seems to be clear from the outside. Everything is clear in the book. But you pick up the first stage of another regulator. And here is a protective valve and a DIN-type connector. And everything spins in all directions, slips out of the hands, tends to cling to other equipment. Plus, the rule of the gimlet, which was not taught at school, coupled with the desire to save a manicure, can attack you at once and drive you into a complete dead end. So don't forget to turn on your own brain. I've already said that we will show the most honest and detailed video about obtaining the first certificate. And I don't want to turn it into another textbook from the category of how to. Such teaching aids usually make students feel embarrassed and unnecessarily nervous at the first mistake. We don't need nerves. We are all humans. We all make mistakes. And we learn from our own, and, if we're lucky, from others too. And there will be a lot of mistakes today. If the preparatory stages of learning on the surface are not tasks from higher mathematics and are quite simple with the proper level of attention, then water changes a lot. And here everyone can make a mistake, even an instructor. And the price of a mistake, at least, is bruising on the 5th point. Wrong estimate of wind strength and wave height, and voila! But this, of course, is no laughing matter. And those who decide to laugh will soon experience all the delights of learning in troubled waters with strong wind and waves. And the first problem, do not believe it, just dive. The real conditions of the salt water of the Red Sea, in contrast to training in a real pool, give a clear understanding of the nature of the buoyancy of water. And even a competent selection of the number of additional weight on your body does not always help to solve this problem the first time. And from the second time. And even the third time. After all, in addition to the need to release all the air from the buoyancy compensator, you will also need to release all the air from your lungs. And it's scary. But the instructor will help. Even if, often, a little violently. And here you are underwater. Albeit at a shallow depth, but in a completely new and incomprehensible world for you, so far. In a world where, first of all, you need to learn how to breathe and see. The first lesson is just about that. During both training and further recreational dives, water will often come under your mask. Salty, eye-stinging water. And the ability to get rid of it by blowing the mask is fundamental. It's about seeing. Breathing is even more interesting. For one reason or another, you may end up underwater without a regulator. Without air. Without a chance to make a breathe. An accidental movement of the hand of a diver swimming nearby. A hose snagging on coral can leave you without a single device that makes it possible to breathe. Finding your regulator is not difficult. If you know how to do it. And even if for the first time our little diver has found her alternative source of breathing instead of the regulator, and the regulator itself was returned to her and inserted into her mouth, like a pacifier for a child, the exercise can be considered half completed. This person will not be left without air. The next exercise is the most difficult on the first day of training. During its implementation, you will need to be left alone with the salty waters of the sea. Without a mask. Here, for the student, the most important thing is not to forget to breathe. Even if it's scary. Try to calm down and blow the mask. You don't have to do it the first time. Nobody hits the neck. But if fear overpowers, just show the instructor the sign, up, and you will immediately be lifted to the surface.
I've drunk a lot of salty water.
Me too. Because this mask, I can't. Give me this mask.
Ehab turned out to be that fashionista. During the first day of training, he tried on the masks of all those present. And still he was satisfied only with his own. The cheerful manner of teaching allowed the wife to calm down and pass this difficult test with brilliance. Almost. Ehab did not realize for a long time that his attempts to congratulate Ludovic on the solution of the previous task turned into a complete fiasco. Because even though the water had left the mask, the eye-stinging effect hadn't gone away. And all attempts to give five or hit the fist were perceived by the wife as the corresponding signs of the underwater alphabet. Finally, understanding has been established. The young Padawan deserved a gingerbread and a respite in the form of a short trip to unexpected depths. All I had to do was slowly drift along the surface and enjoy the feeling that I had already passed these steps, smile at the fish and surprise the population of the nearest beach of the Seagull Hotel. There must be vacationers still wondering, what was this shark bait doing 40 meters from the shore? Our teacher was completely focused on his student, and even my timid attempts to dive and keep the guys company in freediving mode were not interested on his part. Crowned professional. And, as an honored figure in underwater education, the instructor does not allow the student to relax more than the situation requires. Time to move on to the next exercise. Many of you must have had to undress a girl. And if the fastener on the bra still seems to be a problem for you, try taking off a full set of scuba gear underwater, and then putting it on again. Here is the right task for young inquisitive minds. Do you know how deep you were?
How deep? I don't know. Happy people do not watch depths. 13 meters.
Congratulations, a new record.
At what depth did we take off the tank?
4 meters under the ship. Look. That is how daily diving has pumped up my thighs. Aren't they looking amazing?
Just kidding, of course, Ehab didn't say that. It's just that when training to put on a scuba set on the surface, it's important to consider every action both above and below the water. In fact, this lesson is the most fun and bright at the beginning of training. The opportunity to ride a balloon on the waves. The first step not only to diving, but also to surfing. Why not? Maybe someday. The ability to quickly get rid of your equipment in the water, and then quickly put it back on, will come in handy both in diving from the shore and in the future, when completing the rescue diver course. It also helps to get better acquainted with the device of the buoyancy compensator vest and develop motor skills of movement in it. Oh guys, the first day is over. Ludmila was great. Sincerely. Somewhere I was worried, of course, somewhere she was worried. Really long day. To be honest, she was wildly unlucky with the weather. Crazy wind in Hurghada today. Today is a very big wave. And the occupation in what the Egyptians call the pool. Imagine the attraction, wave. When once a minute something like this rolls over you. A meter or two. So, my little wife spent her first class just like that. So probably very good. And also, nothing could be seen under the water. Everything is muddy. I don't know what will happen with the record, but I hope everything will be fine. Our Marlesan ballet will consist of 2 more videos. We are waiting for the first dive from the yacht tomorrow. And a week later the second dive is also from the yacht. I think everything will work out. My first interview and it's with my wife. It's like, train on cats, something like that. Recording video in hot pursuit. Ludmila, tell us. What were your feelings before the dive? When you are already on the surface of the water and it remains only to bleed the air from the infiltrator.
Well, everything was expected and predictable. I am an alarmist. I'm afraid of everything. I'm scared of everything. I still don't know how I signed up for this adventure. For me, this is an adventure. For me it's extreme. Feel? Denial? Fear? Acceptance? It was all there. I almost changed my mind. At the beginning, Even before the first one started, working out the first exercise. I already wanted to turn around and wrap up the whole operation, yes.
But tell me, if now, when you have already worked out with an instructor, you would be given a choice, a Russian instructor, a Russian-speaking instructor who is not familiar to you, or an Egyptian instructor, which you already know about, the fruits of whose work you already seen. In my face. In the face of our friends. Who would you choose? And why? People from each country usually try to find an instructor with the same native language. What will you suggest them?
Well, of course, verified contacts are better. I trust the reviews of acquaintances and friends more. And, in principle, probably the Egyptian instructors inspire more confidence in me. Because it's their territory. Their locality. They live here. They are here all year round. Decades of years, right? They probably still know the place better than Russian instructors. That's right, in the area. Ehab, the instructor I train with. During today's dives, it was clear that he knows every stone underwater. He picked up a pebble and says, "Here it is, everything." He is familiar with all the fish, every coral there.
I understand. But today the weather was terrible, probably for the first dive, for the first lessons.
It will be even worse tomorrow. I am already scared. I'm starting to get scared today.
In fact, if the weather were different, would it be easier? Well, probably yes, it is logical, it would be easier. But having passed the beginning of the course precisely in such an environment of wind, strong waves, opacity of water. Is there a feeling that this gave something, that if after clear water you were in a more such situation as today, you would be more scared?
Strong waves did not bother me much. The waves were not really felt. It was in this harbor where the first lesson took place. Turbid water interfered, but I saw my instructor. We were at arm's length with him. Therefore, in principle, everything was quite comfortable and normal. Of course, I would like better visibility, because at the very beginning, poor visibility scared me a lot, and I already wanted to turn off the operation, because it was hard to see. But I think the nature doesn't have any bad weather.
It's clear. I have this position. All my life I have stood for the Esperanto language. For the language in which people around the world would communicate and understand each other. When I started diving here in Egypt, I very often dive with people from completely different countries who speaks very different languages. And I saw that the language of underwater gestures, it is really international. And the more you dive, the more you understand that not only some memorized signs that you can show with your hands, with the movement of the body, somehow, are understandable. That is, people, in fact, can now show anything underwater. And, indeed, they understand each other from whatever country they are from. This was your first communication in sign language. In fact, what can you say about it? Was it really hard to speak with a man from another country without sounds and words?
I would not say that the sign language in diving is so diverse. Maybe I don't know many gestures, but, within the first level, open water diver, yes, there are not so many of these gestures. But I noticed that they can be interpreted in different ways, depending on what emotions, with what speed you do it, because the same stop sign, when you sharply show it, stop 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 is already panic. And when you stop, Ehab, let's get ready, not so fast, we shall rest a little here and then it will be further. Well, it feels different.
But now, somewhere, an hour or two has passed since your dive. What are the feelings now? Have you gained any self-confidence?
I am very glad that there will be no more of this most terrible exercise. I really, totally scared of it. Practicing putting on a mask underwater. It needs to be removed completely, to be in salty. Your nose turns out to be in salty water. The eyes are in salt water. You need to put on a mask and blow all the water out of it. It is unbearable. I got it only on the third attempt, and I now think that this exercise should be put at the very end. Because many can really change their minds, like me, I would change my mind. Just a little more I was on the verge of giving up, to cancel everything, we're winding down, guys, that's it, nothing will happen.
After you rose to the surface, went ashore, You had half an hour of watching the sea, the surface, the wind, the waves. What were your thoughts at that moment? Anything deep thoughts on your mind?
It's good that I'm on the beach. Dry, the sun is shining, no need to blow the mask.
That is, there was no desire to return underwater as soon as possible?
No. I like to watch the fish, and it's calming, right? But when you need to work out the exercises, dangerous, difficult, then this does not bring much pleasure.
Super. Very good. We will continue this conversation tomorrow, already on the yacht.
Yes.
The first day of training builds the basis for understanding how to work with all the elements of your equipment. It teaches you to overcome the fear of the upcoming dive in the real high seas. Did Ehab manage to prepare Ludmila for such a responsible step? You will know about it in a week. In the meantime, Yahoy.